There is a new AI bot on the MQL5 marketplace. This one is called the Gold Fighter MT5 and claims to use both Grok and the OpenAI API. So let's dive in to see if this is a real AI bot or if they're just using fake marketing language like many other competitors on the marketplace. This video is sponsored by Prosperity Algo and our free Golden Time Bomb Expert Advisor. Do you want to make 100+% annual returns through automating the London breakout and the opening range breakout? Then click the link in the description. So the Gold Fighter MT5 claims to trade gold, or I'm quite sure it does trade gold, but it claims to use both the AI capabilities of Grok from xAI as well as the classic OpenAI ChatGPT. Especially with xAI, which has been really taking more and more market share recently, we can likely expect to see many more expert advisors claiming to use this particular model when making trading decisions. And I'm curious to see and actually dive in to see if it actually follows a real trading strategy and what that strategy could be. So from the description here, it's saying that it's feeding a lot of different data to the AI API, including the 100 past candles like open, high, low, close, as well as indicators from a particular time frame to determine if the market is going to go up, down, or stay flat. And then it's using some more technical analysis entries like the Ichimoku and momentum strategies, I believe more for the filter and or for the trigger. So this is actually a very smart approach. Like if it's actually doing this, this makes a lot of sense. He's essentially using the large language model more as a filter and almost like a classifier model, asking is the market more likely to go up, down, or flat, kind of set the bias for the day, and then use more classic technical analysis to actually enter the market. And this is a very good approach. Like I've done similar things. Many developers on the marketplace have done similar things where you simply connect to the ChatGPT API or to any of their competitors' APIs, and you can send a web request with that data from the strategy, from the EA MT5 terminal, and that typically works rather well. But curious to see if it's actually doing this or if it's just claiming to do so. And it's tough to see because he doesn't go all that much into detail. I've watched the video here as well where he does discuss, he just pretty much runs a back test showing that it turns $5,000 into $5 million and then says that it does not use martingale or grid or any risky strategies, but not a ton of additional information there. So far from the sales page, the good is really that we can see a real strategy here. He does appear to be using AI in a more legitimate way than some other developers, but the downside is we're not actually sure if he's really doing API calls just because he's not giving a ton of information about it. But overall, quite an interesting starting point nonetheless. If we flip over to his live signal page here, what's quite neat is he's actually running this on DarwinX. So DarwinX is a big broker, as we all know, and this is likely maybe it's a DarwinX 0 account just because of the sheer size is pretty significant. And we are seeing that he is indeed trading a lot, and so far he's had a 100% win rate. So what I think he's doing here is he's just using a pretty enormous stop loss because we're only seeing wins after wins after wins, and the actual swaps are quite small too. But in terms of the times, what's quite neat here is they're all executing more at the end of the day. So this could be more of a night scalping type strategy. So there could be an actual real strategy behind this, which is pretty interesting because they're all executing, as you can look at the timestamps, like 2352, 2320. So this could very well be more of a night scalper for gold, which is, it does work. I've developed one myself, the Golden Blackhawk. So there does appear to be a real strategy here, which is pretty interesting. So let's hop over now into MT5, where I've taken the liberty of downloading this bot and running a backtest. And here over the span of a year, using every tick based on real ticks, it turns $10,000 into around $14,000. So in his sales video, he was giving these incredibly a rosy back test saying you will make $5,000 into $5 million within only 4 years. I think he's likely exaggerating a bit, but you can't really fault him for that because most developers in MT5 do the same thing. As long as it actually runs a real strategy and you can kind of assess it critically, it can still very well be profitable, but you're probably not going to be a millionaire from $5,000 in a few years. What we can see here is that this does look like more of a classic scalping system with a very inverted risk reward. So you have these long runs of winners and then followed by some sharp losers. And I would venture it's doing some sort of mean reverting night scalping style system. Because you can see, like, if you look at all the trades, they're occurring in the slow periods at night. And this is actually one of the best ways to trade mean reversion on gold. Because I find that anytime you try and do a grid martingale or a classic like Bollinger Band or oscillator strategy on gold, it does not usually work that well, just because gold is such a trending asset. It tends to move very aggressively and very fast. But he appears to be doing a night scalping, more mean reverting type strategy, always in the evening hours with an enormous stop loss. So this is a real strategy, and it's really neat because not many people do this for gold. You see it more in currencies. I have done this for gold, and I know it works. So it's definitely a strong like selling point for me at least. And let me now go through the inputs tab here. He's giving us a few different places to enable the AI APIs. Not so sure if he's actually done the required code to make this happen. So you'd really have to chat with him and see if he can provide a bit more details, because usually if a developer does legitimately give you access to an AI API, they might have a separate page where they walk through it in detail. And here, maybe it's a language barrier, but he just does not go enough into detail for us to actually know if he's really doing this or if he's just putting a simple field here. But if he is actually doing this, it would be a pretty good idea, because it could likely tell you if you're in more of a range-bound condition or if you're in more of a bullish or bearish condition, which could help to further improve the win rate of this strategy. So if he's actually doing this, and it's very possible to do that, that could actually further improve the strategy. So from what I can see so far, it looks to be a real system. The one downside here is this looks almost a little bit too good to be true for this type of system. So there could be a degree of over-optimization just because this is probably based on some sort of indicators. They're fairly easy to over-optimize. So there could be a little bit of that going on. So let's run a visual backtest to see if any indicators pop up. But there does appear to be a pretty interesting strategy here. So let me just, I'll press go. And so far, not really any indicators are showing. Okay, and just consistent with the night scalping system. So no additional information there. So, okay, to wrap up, gold night scalping strategy, trade some sort of mean reversion system. I'd venture he's probably hard-coded either a Bollinger Band or an oscillator-based indicator. This strategy can actually work really well. I've run it for several months in our Golden Blackhawk bot, so I think there is something real here. The one kind of caveat is I'm not so sure if he's actually using the AI models or if he's just AI washing. But maybe perhaps if you're interested in buying this bot, you should reach out to the developer and ask him to give you a bit more context, because it's good to give people the benefit of the doubt. However, you always have to be a bit skeptical with MT5 developers. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Summary, it's actually quite an interesting bot. Would look forward to hear from you if you have any additional feedback. And 1.2 is before buying, I'd also look to see when the first loss happens on the live signal, because a 100% win rate live signal does not give you a good indication of how big those losses will really be, particularly because he's using an enormous stop loss here. We want to see how long it takes to recover in the event that you hit that stop loss. If it takes 2 weeks and you have a 99% win rate, it's not really the end of the world. However, if it takes 3 months to recover one loss, that's probably not a great sign. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me a comment and have yourselves a great day.